Catherine Zuber, the costume designer for How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. And we're here, I share a studio with Derek McLean, the set designer for the show. And we're here in our conference room with some items from the show to show you. From the minute I'm hired, the first thing, of course, is to read the script and to sort of do a breakdown of the script according to the characters and scenes with ensemble members to kind of determine how many people are in the scene, what are they doing, and then in a show like this, of course, what is their movement? The movement is so important. What we have here is, this is from the old Ivy scene, and these are the football costume that was made by Yuriko Costumes. We weren't quite sure of exactly what type of football player we wanted to investigate, and Rybash had felt that it should be that Bigley was remembering his youth, so it should be more based in the 30s. So we did a lot of research on what went into those uniforms at that time. We had to build in, for quick change purposes, the socks, the knee pads, and everything is all built in to one item that then goes, a football shoe goes over this. But because the change is so quick, it just had to be quite efficient. And the great thing about having this be one unit too is that we never have to worry that their socks are going to fall down or the knee pad is going to slip.
This is a pair of the men's shoes from the show, which were made by Tio Day. And just like the women's shoes, they're very flexible so that the men can point their feet. And they're also made with a soft, like, rubber heel for comfort, whereas a traditional men's dress shoe probably would have like a wooden heel, which wouldn't work out for the guys.
A great artist that we work with is Jeff Fender, and he did all this hand painting on these Island Girl costumes. This was white fabric that then he did relief and overdyed and did all these black paint lines on it, and I just love his work, and it's just one example of all the wonderful artists that contribute so much to a show. We went to FIT and went through the archives, looked at magazines of the time period, and I have a collection of magazines here from the 60s. And also, I was very interested in a film called Playtime by Jacques Tati, a French director, which is about an office environment that had a very artistically rendered office space with a very controlled palette in terms of the costumes, which I found that to be quite effective. For the principals, it's very important to track their story in terms of the journey they're taking within the piece. For instance, Rosemary starts out as sort of a young secretary, and as we move through the story, she gets a job promotion, her clothing gets a little more sophisticated, and then at the very end, she's reached her dream of being, you know, a wife in New Rochelle that's come into the city to meet her husband for lunch, so she's a lady of leisure. The interesting thing about the blue bow tie that Daniel Radcliffe wears as J. Pierpont Finch is that it was first developed by the producers and the artists that designed the advertising campaign as the right color for the visuals of the poster and of the publicity that was developed. And we felt that in going through the designs that it was quite charming to keep that blue bow tie as his signature piece, and no matter what happened to him, going up the ladder and then, you know, for a brief moment down the ladder and then way up again, that he always had on that blue bow tie, that was his constant. These are some composites I like to make. All of these sketches are individually done, but then we scan them into the computer and sort of then put how people are appearing in each scene. And then as we're swatching, we put little pieces of the fabrics over these sketches, so we get sort of overview of how the colors are coming together. This is an example of the original sketches that we do before they're scanned. And Here we have the Island Girls and a Paris original. And this is some of the research. We kind of go to FIT, and here's some great makeup research. I'd love for you to talk to Ashley Ryan a little bit later, and she can explain a little more closely about the details.
Most of my inspiration comes from all the research that either Kathy will give me, and I do a lot of my own. And so for this particular show, I worked close with the clothes and what these secretaries and who they are and what they're wearing, and then what did their hair look like and what did the girls look like. In the 60s, they wore, as you can see, sometimes they had purple or green eyeshadow, and there's a lot of great advertisement with the nail polish where they almost match their eyeshadow with their nail polish. Tammy's a riot. I had a lot of fun working with her, and her character is just so over the top. So she had a beauty mark and thick eyelashes and really strong liquid eyeliner and a great bright red lipstick, and she was sort of really overdone. Like, I think she was a lot like this, but more so. Like, she was just really bold, and Kathy kind of let me have a lot of fun with her. Most of them in their real life don't wear blue eyeshadow or bright red lipstick every day, so I think they have a lot of fun doing it, or Tammy wouldn't put on a beauty mark. So it was just sort of a fun process.
Thank you so much for coming and visiting us at our studio, and thank you for all your support for How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. And if you haven't seen the show, you're in for a big treat.